has been a growing concern over the past couple of decades regarding social media usage among senior secondary school students and its influence on their life and education. Today's younger generation is hooked on social media, and this digital landscape has put increased pressures on teenagers. Formerly, communicating and free sharing of thoughts between individuals was limited due to distances. But now, even with the barriers of nationality or religion, the flow of information and knowledge is still continuing through the new globalization of social media. Social media refers to the means of communication among individuals, young and old, where they create, share, exchange, and comment within themselves using different networks at their disposal.
Review of related literature. According to John Co et al. 2010, social media are a collection of internet websites, services, and practices that support collaboration, community building, participation, and sharing. Over the years, social networking among second cycle students has become more and more popular. It is a way to make connection not only in campus but with friends outside of school. As social networking sites can be a good way to make connections with people with similar interests and goals, according to Steve 2008. Communication is one of the main things why there are social networking sites, to gather information and to broaden their knowledge. Social networking sites is a huge place to gather information to what is trending nowadays, according to Green 2008. Other things in the social media are a great chance to gather ideas since those articles are specified. In a survey conducted by Baggett and Williams 2012, students agree that social media is a means to connect between individuals and is used as a means to share common interests. Media represent useful tools for communication and education and provide opportunity for networking in any profession with time constraint and demanding. Social media also includes YouTube, Photobucket, Flickr, and other sites aimed at photo and video sharing. To them, social media is the use of Facebook, Twitter, and MySpace and LinkedIn for the purpose of communication, sharing photos as well as video. However, for those purpose of this study, social media is captured within the use of internet through Facebook, WhatsApp, and Twitter. Social networking is a way that helps many people feel as though they belong to the community. Due to the increase of the popularity of it, economists and professors are questioning whether behavior of students are not being affected by how much time is spent on these sites. According to Leonard et al. 2010, about 57% of social network users are 18 to 29 years old and have personal profile on multiple social media websites. In a study by Pempek, Yermo, Lavia, and Calvert 2009, the amount of time spent daily on social networking sites varied greatly. Scope and delimitation. These studies primarily focus on social media exposure and its influence on the behavior of grade 12 senior high school students. Out of 100 random grade 12 students of Gland School of Arts and Trades, 50 students were used as a sample in conducting the survey. This study limits its coverage on grade 12 senior high school students only in Gland School of Arts and Trades. This study used interviews, questionnaires, and survey for gathering data. Each of the respondents are given same questionnaires to answer. This study focused on the current grade 12 senior high school student of the present school year 2020-2021.
Social media preferences, and the questions are: what social media platforms do you prefer to use? Which of the following social media websites do you currently have an account with? What social media channels are you very active on? Social media consumptions, and the questions are: how much time do you spend on social media? What is the longest time you consume using a social media? How often do you check into your social media accounts? Social media usage, and the questions are: why do you use social media and why social media is useful for you? Why do you need to join social media? Psychological behavior. Social media lower your self-esteem. Social media is creating awareness among youth for the new trends. You become trouble if you're unable to use social media. Social media gives an anxiety and depression. Social media sites are responsible for moral value. Social activities. Description. I don't have time to socialize physically with my friends because of social media. I interact with my friends using social media platforms. I prefer posting my problems on social media than sharing my problems with my parents. I have many friends online than in school.
Conceptual framework. Independent variable is
Research instrument. To get the appropriate data needed, the researchers will have survey forms and questionnaires with 3 parts. Part 1 will ask for the profile of the respondents, determining the name, which is optional, age, gender, grade, and section. And Part 2 will determine the social media exposure of the students, including their social media preferences, accounts, and time consumptions of using social media. Lastly, for Part 3 is the tool that will determine the influence of social media exposure to the behavior of grade 12 senior high school students of Glan School of Arts and Trades.
data gathering procedure. In gathering the data, researchers conducted a survey to the grade 12 senior high school students of Glan School of Arts and Trades. Furthermore, all ethical issues were followed. The participants were assured that all of their personal information would be treated with care and kept private. When the respondents have been assured of the aforementioned, the researchers will explain the process, as well as the study's goal and purpose. The researchers will next send surveys to the participants through Messenger. This survey was conducted in order to provide respondents with the information they required. Data analysis and interpretation. In terms of age, it appears that the majority of the respondents are 18 years old, with 64.7%, followed by 17 and 19 years old. Moreover, it indicates that the study was female-dominated by 82.4%, while male is only 17.6%. This only shows that the majority of respondents are female. Social media preference. Table 1 shows that 85.7% of senior high school students prefer Facebook as their means. 91% of senior high school students have an account on Facebook, 66.7% on Instagram, followed by Twitter, 36.7%, TikTok, 63.9%, and lastly, YouTube got 56.6% users. On the other hand, 88.9% of senior high school students choose Facebook as social media channels. They were active, and followed by TikTok that got 36.1%, Instagram 27.8%, and lastly YouTube with 22.2%. Therefore, senior high school students of Glan School of Arts and Trades are very active on Facebook, and majority of them have personal accounts on it. Results also shows that many students prefer Facebook and are actively users. In terms of social media consumption, 25% of the majority spends 3 to 5 hours on using social media. Also, it indicates that 16.7% of senior high school students use 3 to 5 hours as the longest time they consumed on using social media. And lastly, they often check their social media accounts 1 to 2 hours per day.
Table 3 shows that the majority of senior high school students in Glen School of Arts and Trades use social media to keep updated. The results have shown that social media is useful for senior high school to ease boredom, and lastly, they join social media only to keep updated. In terms of psychological behavior, it appears that majority of the students moderately agreed that social media can lower self-esteem. It also shows that students agree the statement that social media create awareness among youth for trends. Almost half of the majority moderately agreed that they feel the urge to use social media over time. On the statement, you become restless or troubled if you're unable to use social media, 32.4% moderately agreed and 32.4% disagree. Lastly, majority of students moderately agree that social media gives anxiety and depression and is responsible for moral values. This table shows how many percent of students' social activities were affected by social media. It appears that 35.1% of students agreed that they don't have time to socialize with their friends because of social media. Instead, they use social media to interact with their friends through online applications. This table also shows that majority of students disagree, that they prefer posting in social media about their problems than with their parents. And lastly, it was concluded that majority of students have many friends in social media. Results and discussion. Results and discussion. It was discovered that most students' behavior is influenced by their use of social media, and as a result, they get addicted by spending the majority of their time on internet. As a result of the networking, less attention is provided to other activities and aspects that are relevant to their lives, which could result in undesirable consequences. This corresponds to the finding, according to Musa 2015, social networking sites have an impact on the behaviors of students because they spend the most of their time on it. Students are the most knowledgeable about it. This frequently leads to multitasking. Despite the fact that social media encourages it, it can help students socialize and connect, but it can also lead to problems. Fear of cyberbullying, which glamorizes drug use and can make students miserable. And lastly, it leads to restlessness. Aubrey and Gregg 2017 also reported that the most problems encountered in social networking usage are unwanted comments, photos, and videos. It becoming more and more obvious how the use of social media among senior secondary school students has become a trending issue. It has been seen that all around the students, the pressure to be perfect, to look perfect, act perfect, to have the perfect group of friends, the pressure to be perfect, best. Failure for the students to meet the ridiculous levels results in serious backwardness both academically and psychologically. Students can also join internet or social groups reflecting aspects of their identity that they wish to explore or deepen. Kolek and Saunders 2008. With respect to psychosocial development, the use of social media has influences matters with reference to self-esteem, as well as social ability attainment. In another study, it was opinioned that involvement in media usage may affect the individual emotional coping strategy positively as in grieving following the passing away of someone. Williams and Merton 2009. There are positive aspects of social media use among students, and also there are equally as many negative effects concerning the use of such gadgets. Since their introduction, social media sites have attracted a large number of participants within youths and undergraduate students. Lenhart and Madden 2007.
The study examined influence of social media exposure on the behavior of senior high school students. The increase of internet usage and advancement in technology, social media will continue to be reckoned with as part of and parcel of everyday life. Social media is a vast field of communication where barriers are fast fading and the growing need for access to data is now of great significance. This will continue to influence activities of adolescents and youths in particular within this global world. This unfortunately has become detrimental to students' academic performance and psychosocial behavior. Hence, on the other hand, when put in proper use, will enhance both. It is imperative to equally consider other variables to assess the correlation with the social media usage.